Miami Hurricanes recruiting stays hot. Cookout today, and we're going to be talking about some maybe unexpected names entering the mix and some possible flips.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I am Alex Donno, your host. I'm a University of Miami alumnus, longtime South Florida sports radio vet, including pregame and postgame for Miami Hurricanes football. Thank you so much for making Locked On your first listen today, especially on a Saturday. Locked On Canes is available free wherever you get your podcasts and available free on YouTube. So there's so much more smoke in Miami recruiting, and where there's smoke, there's fire, and where there's fire, Brad Tejeda is usually not far. With all these reports coming around. Brad Tejeda, our very good friend from CanesInsight.com, joins us. Brad, it's been a minute. How you been, sir?
Good, Alex. How you doing, man? Appreciate you, always having me on, man. Keep doing what you're doing. I love it. And yeah, man, like you said, man, it's a pretty big weekend. As you know, tonight is the dead period. For anybody that follows recruiting, tonight at midnight, you can no longer, have any contact with some of these guys, face to face. So, today's a big day. And, yesterday there were a few of these guys that we're going after that were hoping to touch down in Coral Gables today. They were at other programs. So we'll see what happens.
Well, so the first name I want to ask you about, we talked about him a little bit on yesterday's episode. This is an Oregon commit, verbal commit. We obviously know that any Oregon verbal commit was being recruited heavily by Mario Cristobal when he was there. Cristobal's now at Miami. Let's talk about five-star wide receiver Jurrion Dickey from the state of California, verbally committed to Oregon, but it sounds like he's kept his commitment open, at least somewhat open. I know Oregon fans will say, we're not worried about this one. He's just maybe looking around so he can get some free meals here and there and get wined and dined a little bit. But we're expecting Jurrion Dickey, who's in town, to be at the Cookout this evening, right? And do you think Miami might be able to flip one of the best players in this class from Oregon to the U?
I think first and foremost, like you mentioned, this is an Oregon commit from California. He's been really verbal and solid about saying he is an Oregon commit. But the fact that he traveled to Miami, for a unquote vacation, I spoke to Jaden Rashada a few days ago, and he kind of hinted that, hey, I got a guy coming with me, and I hope to introduce him to Coral Gables, and they're 7-on-7 teammates, and they're both Cali kids. And Jaden Rashada, was very, aware of, one of the things that he loved the most about, committing to Miami was that smooth transition of the California environment to, Miami. So that's a lot different than a place like Oregon. But with Jurrion Dickey, man, this is a top 3 wide receiver in the nation. Some people think, possibly even the top wide receiver in the nation. And, he loves the environment of Miami from everything I heard. He was chilling with the mayor. Even had the key to the city in his hands, so that's always nice to see. He likes to fish, and the Keys down in South Florida is one of the best places to fish, man. So who knows what happens with that? I think he is definitely a name to watch for today on Saturday. But there's also another few names as well. I know Dejon Johnson. He's the number 10th quarterback in the country. He's currently from Tampa. He is currently a Ohio State commit. We talk about some of these recruits that are, already verbally committed to another program. They're still visiting other places, here in Gainesville at University of Florida. A lot of these names that we're going to be talking about, we're here in Gainesville on a Friday, and they could possibly be making their ways to other programs like Coral Gables here today. But I think that Florida staff is going to be trying to get a few guys to, kind of handcuff them and say, hey, man, we know if you touch down in Coral Gables and we got to go head to head with a guy like Mario Cristobal, we're not going to be able to match it. And I think this is one guy that you're going to have to look out for, unfortunately. I don't know if he ends up making it to Miami tonight. Like I said, the dead period's at midnight. So let's see what happens with that.
Oh, well, this is good. This is good info. Brad Tejeda from Canes Insight joins us. And listen, G5 Billy, he now lives inside the locker, right? I mean, he got stuffed in the locker repeatedly by Mario Cristobal, got stuffed in the locker by Malzahn and UCF a couple of days ago. So he lives in that locker now. Now, okay, a player who is going to be at the barbecue, going to be at the cookout. It was reported earlier in the week, and he confirmed it on his social media, is Samuel Mpemba, five-star defensive end out of IMG Academy. IMG Academy, it's like Miami MG Academy. It's becoming a University of Miami pipeline. What's your feeling on Mpemba, who is in town this weekend? Where does Miami stand with another one of the best players in the country?
Oh man, Alex, this is a guy that, I mean, anyone that's followed me on social media or anytime I'm on here and we bring up this guy's name, this is a guy that Miami's been recruiting for a very long time. They've already built that relationship. They're very high on a young guy like Samuel, and I think we're in a very good spot for him. He's another guy, like I mentioned, that was here in Gainesville on Friday. Seemed like he enjoyed himself, but hey, he's already been very vocal on coming to Miami with a few other guys. This is an IMG field trip to Coral Gables. From what I've heard, there's about 5 or 6 guys that I'll mention also in the 2024 class that are from IMG to look out for, because Miami is going to start to do that IMG to the U pipeline. There is already another recruit that is currently committed to Miami, that is a very vocal ambassador for this, recruiting class that will be transferring to IMG as well. And, Francis Mauigoa, he is an ambassador for this recruiting class as well with a few other guys, and he has been very vocal about getting.
And Antonio Tripp is the one who's transferring there, right?
Yeah, from what I heard, that's exactly right. I don't know if it's been public yet, but he did say with me and a couple other people that he will be doing that. And Francis, by the way, is trying to get someone like Samson Okanola, to transfer to IMG as well. So that would be pretty cool if we could get another big time target like him, who I know is trying to commit before his football season starts. So that's another name to look out for. But as far as Samuel, man, I think his top 3 as of right now is Georgia, Miami, and Notre Dame. We'll see what happens, how he felt about that Florida visit here on Friday. But as long as he's here in Miami on Saturday, which everything points to it that he will be, I think Miami's in a very good spot for him.
Well, a few more names we want to talk about as we are on surprise commit watch and we're on flip watch, especially on a day like today where Miami has the cookout before the big dead period begins. Brad Tejeda from Canes Insight joins me. I want to remind you guys, betonline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all of your betting needs. Find all of your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports wagering information, from live in-game betting, scores, and podcasts. They have you covered. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action happening right now. BetOnline, where the game starts. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts and available free on YouTube. Another name I saw that's going to be at the cookout, IMG Academy 2024 top running back Jerrick Gibson. Where do you think Miami could stand here?
Yeah, with a kid like Jerrick Gibson, Alex, he's originally from Gainesville, here where I'm living. He went to Gainesville High School, then transferred to IMG. He's definitely one of the top running backs in the country. #1 on pretty much everyone's board. He grew up a Florida fan, obviously, being from Gainesville. But, Miami's definitely been intriguing for him from everything I've heard from a couple people close to him. The one thing with him that he looks for the most is development and guys that are proven as far as the coaching that he's going to be getting. Do they produce talent on the next level and get, year in and year out, first round draft picks that can, produce on that next level, because that's what he's looking at the end of the day. I know the team to watch out for, in my opinion, is Georgia when it comes to Jerrick Gibson. But, the fact that he is going to Miami today, that points to be really good signs. We need to continue to build that relationship. He is a 2024 guy, so there is some time to continue to do some great things for him. But I think Georgia's the team to watch for him right now.
Oh, that's good info here. Brad Tejeda joins us, canesinsight.com. Hey, is there any word? I don't think he's going to be at the cookout, but is there any word on Jaden Bonsu, why he postponed his announcement last week, and where Miami stands for the four-star safety out of New Jersey? Because this is one, obviously, Brad. Canes fans, we want everybody, but we want this guy, especially after not getting Janelle Aguero, who went to Georgia last week. We all really want Bonsu.
Yeah, with Jaden Bonsu, it's starting to look like he might just go back to that original commitment date of August 20th. I'm not 100% sure what exactly has happened, but it seems like every time he's pushed it back, from everyone I've talked to, Miami still feels like they're in a good place, although Ohio State, is making a run at them since, some of their top targets at safety, that they were going after that they thought they were going to get ended up going elsewhere, right? So now Jaden Bonsu becomes their number one priority, where Miami has kind of made him the number one priority from the jump. So that's going to be one to watch out for. But again, Miami's doing a very good job of having great other guys that they are going after and already built a relationship. I'm talking about, the dynamic duo over at St. Thomas Aquinas. We got a guy on staff in Jason Taylor who is familiar with St. Thomas Aquinas. So that relationship, along with Mario Cristobal and Mr. Earl Little, himself, that's a great relationship that we now have with that program, where I think in years past, even the head coach didn't make any communications with some of those guys over there. But I'm talking about Conrad Hussey and King Mack. These are both guys that are currently committed to Penn State. I think they are both very great safeties. I think Miami should continue to recruit both of these guys. I don't necessarily think they're a package deal like some people may say. I think anytime we've labeled the package deal in the past couple of years, it hasn't really been a package deal. You look at the Malik Bryant, Peyton Kirkland situation and others. But I think Conrad Hussey, he's the most athletic player on the team for St. Thomas Aquinas. You could play him in multiple positions. So even if you do land a Jaden Bonsu, or if you don't, I think Conrad Hussey is a name to watch for Miami as the safety position.
There's so much speculation and hype heading into this cookout. I'm hoping the Canes fans aren't overhyping this, because anybody who's been trolling through the message boards, you see people talking about how I think there's going to be some huge surprises and maybe surprise commits that come out of this. Some of the cryptic tweets from recruiting analysts indicate stuff like this. Is there anything coming out of this cookout, Brad? Is there anything where you might say, hey, we're going to have a couple of guys who are maybe verbally committed somewhere else or leaning somewhere else, who may come away from this committing to Miami, or at least seeing Miami become the favorite for some of these players that we weren't expecting to be favorites for?
Yeah, I think some of these guys are still elsewhere right now. We mentioned DeJohn Johnson. He's one of those guys where I think Miami felt really comfortable in the last day or two to kind of publicly let out that he was going to indeed visit Miami. But unfortunately, as soon as that got out, the Florida program made sure, since they were getting that visit first, they're doing everything possible to keep him in Gainesville, along with a guy like Andy Jean, who's another target for Miami. It doesn't look like he's going to be coming to Coral Gables as well. It looks like he's going to be staying in Gainesville. So those are two guys that I think Miami, at once felt comfortable with, that may not be able to make the cookout today. But we'll see. I mean, you got other guys in the fold. You got a Damon Wilson and a Jordan Hall, who are very top targets on the board, that will be at the cookout as well. And I mean, we mentioned Jurrion Dickey, right? There's a lot of smoke to that. I think at the end of the day, you got to get Mom on board. She's one of the big factors in the recruiting process, from everything I heard. But I think he likes Coral Gables. When you got a guy like, Jaden Rashada and Francis Mauigoa in your ear, you already got the IMG pipeline going. It seems like almost every commit in this class will be at the cookout. So that's also a good thing.
Yeah.
But I like to see it, man. You also got William Fowles that will be making a commitment on August 3rd. But hey, man, we mentioned some of these big time targets. We haven't even mentioned Carnell Tate, Brandon Ennis, Hakeem Williams, some of these other guys that we are potentially going after. And I think at the end of the day, not only what targets we have left on the board, I don't even necessarily think William Fowles will end up choosing the Miami Hurricanes on August 3rd, just because we have so many options still left on the table that this staff feels very comfortable with. And at the end of the day, that 2024 class, you got a lot of top targets that I think could possibly be Miami Hurricanes. So you could load up and possibly have the best wide receiver class in the nation next year.
Oh, man.
But it'll be interesting to see, man. I think at the end of the day, watch for Francis Mauigoa at the Cookout. He seems to be one of the best recruiters in this class right now, man. So having him at that Cookout with all of these other IMG guys we're possibly going after. I mean, we didn't even mention the 2024 class, but
Yeah.
a kid named Ernest Willer. I mean, that's the guy you're going to want to look out for. He's a 6'4", 220-pound, defensive lineman. He's originally from Baltimore, Maryland. I was able to talk to Antonio Tripp and Quincy Roche at the same time the other day, and those are both BA Maryland guys, and they talked about just the vibe that Miami has, and Antonio Tripp is another big ambassador, and he has been in Ernest Willer's ear for quite some time, and he knows he wants him to be a Miami Hurricane. So that's an name to look out for. He's one of the top defensive linemen in the country. He was going right past guys like Olau Salinan and Najee Harris, who are both committed to Florida and Alabama. And him being a 2024 kid, being able to do things like that to top 2023 guys on the offensive line says a lot. And I think that's one guy to look out for. And also Timothy Lewis, who's another IMG guy.
Oh man, the IMG pipeline stays hot. And you mentioned earlier when you talk about the current commits recruiting other potential commits that these guys, I'm sure, have been in the ear of Samson Okunlola. You brought up that name. Do we still feel pretty good about where Miami stands for Samson? Because we've got all the crystal balls, but we know that this stuff can change, and he hasn't set an announcement date. So do we still feel pretty good, I should say, about Samson?
Yeah, I think with Samson, the only team to look out for right now is Michigan State. From everything I heard, I think Mel Tucker and that staff's been doing a very good job behind the scenes of making sure he feels like a priority. I thought Alabama at one point might sneak up in there as well, but it looks like they're turning up the heat on some of the other prospects we're going after, like Monroe Freeling. They seem to be turning heavy for him as well, but we'll see. I like where we stand with a lot of these guys. It seems like in the past recruiting classes, we didn't have, more than one ambassador that felt like can recruit a lot of these other guys, whether it's locally or nationally at the end of the day. And it seems like almost every guy in this recruiting class is vocally recruiting for the Miami Hurricanes. So when you have multiple ambassadors on a recruiting class, that definitely helps build those relationships that you're going to need, while you're playing your actual football season. You're still going to have guys while they're playing their high school football season, recruiting for the University of Miami. And, building those pipelines is something that you need. And I think Miami is starting to do that with a bunch of high school programs.
Awesome stuff. He's Brad Tejeda. Follow him on Twitter at Tejeda Brad. Check out his work at Canes Insight. And guys, make sure you follow the show on Twitter, Locked On Canes, at Locked On Canes. We will follow you back if you follow us. And feel free, man. Shoot us your Canes football questions, comments, day and night. We read a lot of the tweets on the shows. We do a lot of Q&A throughout the week. So keep the interactions coming. We really appreciate you guys. And make sure on your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Odyssey, etc., make sure you subscribe. It really helps us out if you subscribe to the pod. And if you're watching this right now on YouTube, make sure you hit that thumbs up button on this video and subscribe to our channel. So this is a Saturday episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. We may do a Sunday episode as well. Huge thanks to Brad. Brad, enjoy the rest of your weekend, sir.
You as well, man. Take care. Thanks. Go Canes.
Go Canes. We will talk to you guys again next time on another episode of Locked On Canes, part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.